The Watchers in the Dark. The massive Nexari warship, Eternal Dawn, hung motionless against the backdrop of space, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Fleet Commander Zara Vex stood on the command bridge, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she studied the holographic display of the Sol system. Behind her, the rest of the Nexari exploration fleet stretched into the darkness. 500 vessels of varying sizes, each a masterpiece of engineering. Another myth chase, Commander? First Officer Krell asked, his facial tendrils twitching with barely concealed amusement. The humans are nothing but stories told to young ones. Zara's silver eyes narrowed as she zoomed in on the third planet. Stories don't generate the energy signatures we're detecting. Krell. Whether the humans are as formidable as legend claims, that remains to be seen. The legends spoke of a species that had reversed their own extinction event, mastered quantum mechanics before achieving spaceflight, and developed technologies that defied conventional understanding. But the Nexari Empire's long-range scans had shown only a modest civilization. Scattered cities, primitive satellites, and no apparent defensive capabilities. Begin the approach sequence, Zara commanded. Standard formation, full sensor suite. Let's see what we're really dealing with. As the fleet moved forward, the sensor officer, Lita, suddenly straightened in her chair. Commander, detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations near the asteroid belt. Her fingers danced across the console. They're moving against normal orbital patterns. Zara leaned forward, her scales shifting to a deeper blue of concentration. The holographic display showed subtle distortions, nearly imperceptible ripples in space that shouldn't exist. Magnify that sector. The image zoomed in, revealing nothing but empty space and distant asteroids. Yet the gravitational readings persisted, defying explanation. Zara had led too many expeditions to ignore her instincts. Launch Probe Squadron Alpha. Full spectrum analysis. Dozens of sleek probes shot from the Eternal Dawn, their quantum sensors primed to pierce any natural phenomena. As they approached the anomalous region, 3 of them suddenly vanished. Probes lost. Lita reported, her voice tight with concern. No debris, no energy discharge. They're just gone. Krell's amusement had vanished. Natural phenomena don't selectively remove objects, Commander. No, Zara agreed, her scales now pulsing with the deep purple of tactical planning. They don't. She opened a channel to the fleet. All vessels, maintain current position. Activate defensive matrices. The response came instantly. 500 ships illuminating their shield systems in a dazzling display of precaution. As the light show faded, a new signal appeared on their communications array. Commander, Lita called out, we're receiving a transmission. Origin point. It's coming from Earth's moon. Zara straightened, her scales rippling with anticipation. Put it through. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect Nexari. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Coalition. You have entered restricted space. State your intentions. The bridge crew froze. Humans weren't supposed to know their language. They weren't supposed to detect them this far out. They weren't supposed to be anything but legends. Zara's scales shifted to the silver of diplomatic engagement. This is Fleet Commander Zara Vex of the Nexari Exploration Fleet. We come seeking knowledge of your world. By bringing 500 warships to our doorstep, the human's voice carried no fear, only a calm certainty that sent a shiver down Zora's spine. Standard exploration protocol, Zora replied smoothly. We mean no harm. A pause. Then, Commander Vex, your Empire's archives contain many stories about Earth. Stories you dismissed as myths. Consider why those stories exist, and why no Nexari fleet that has previously attempted to explore our world has ever returned to tell new ones. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Zara's scales had shifted to the white of uncertainty, a color her crew had rarely seen. Orders, Commander, Krell asked quietly. Before Zara could respond, Lita's console erupted with warnings. multiple spatial distortions forming, energy signatures unlike anything in our database. The holographic display transformed as hundreds of points of light winked into existence around the fleet. Where there had been empty space moments before, now there were structures. Massive installations that had somehow remained completely hidden until now. Quantum displacement technology, Zora whispered, remembering one of the supposed myths. They've been here all along. As if in response to her realization, new signals appeared, approaching from behind the moon. Ships, human ships, emerged into view. They moved with impossible grace, their hulls seeming to bend light around them. The legends hadn't done them justice. Zara's scales settled into the deep blue of revelation as she understood the truth. The humans hadn't been hiding from the galaxy. They had been watching, waiting, preparing. And now, her fleet had wandered straight into the lair of a species that had turned invisibility into an art form. "Your orders?" Krell asked again, his voice tense. Zara's eyes remained fixed on the growing display of human military might. "Send a message to the Earth Defense Coalition. Tell them we would be honored to learn the truth behind the legends." As her message was transmitted, Zora couldn't help but wonder how many other fleets had faced this moment. How many had made the wrong choice and became part of the very legends she had once dismissed. The next few moments would determine whether her fleet would learn the truth about humanity, or become just another story in the Nexari archives. Shadows of preparation. Deep within the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a massive holographic display showing the positions of both fleets. The Nexari vessels hung in space like frozen fireflies, their crystalline hulls reflecting the distant sunlight. Around them, Earth's defense grid had fully materialized. Thousands of automated platforms and stealth satellites that had remained invisible until moments ago. "They're maintaining position," reported Captain James Rodriguez, his dark eyes fixed on the tactical readouts. "No weapons charge, no aggressive movements." Sarah nodded, her silver-streaked hair catching the blue glow of the displays. "And their scans? Still trying to pierce our quantum shields. They're persistent, I'll give them that." James smiled slightly. "Their technology is impressive, but they're not used to being the ones in the dark." The Admiral's attention shifted to a secondary display showing the Nexari flagship. Years of preparation had given humanity detailed knowledge of their potential visitors. The Nexari were proud, technologically advanced, but not unnecessarily aggressive. Their response in the next few moments would be crucial. "Dr. Rivera," Sarah called out, "status of the displacement field." Marcus Rivera looked up from his console, his hands still dancing across the holographic controls. "The quantum matrix is stable. We can maintain the revealed state of our defenses indefinitely now that we're not masking them. Though I must say, watching their sensors try to understand our technology is rather entertaining." A new alert flashed across the main display. "Incoming transmission from the Nexari flagship," James announced. Sarah straightened. "Put it through." Fleet Commander Zara Vex's voice filled the command center, carrying a note of carefully controlled respect that hadn't been there before. "Admiral Chen, we acknowledge your position and capability. The legends of humanity's technological prowess were clearly not exaggerated. We request a diplomatic exchange." Sarah exchanged glances with her senior staff. This was the moment they had prepared for through countless simulations. "Commander Vex, we accept. However, protocol requires that your fleet maintain its current position. You may approach the lunar base in a single diplomatic vessel." There was a pause before Vex responded. "Agreed. Though I must ask, how long have you been watching us?" Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Commander, we've been watching everyone. Humanity learned long ago that the best defense is to be underestimated. Your archives speak of our wars, our triumphs, our technological leaps. But they're incomplete. We let them be incomplete." As if to emphasize her point, another layer of Earth's defenses shimmered into view. Massive platforms emerged from their quantum displacement fields, their designs unlike anything in Nexari records. They weren't just defensive installations, they were technological marvels that defied conventional understanding. Remarkable. Vex's voice carried genuine awe. The stories of your quantum manipulation abilities, they didn't do you justice. There's a lot about us that defies expectation, Commander, Sarah replied. We look forward to discussing this in person. You'll find that humanity has been preparing for this meeting for a very long time. The transmission ended, and Sarah turned to her staff. Begin diplomatic protocols. Dr. Rivera, maintain displacement fields on all secondary systems. Captain Rodriguez, keep our response teams at ready status. As her orders were carried out, Sarah watched the Nexari flagship deploy a smaller vessel. The sleek diplomatic shuttle began its careful approach toward the lunar base, its passage monitored by dozens of hidden sensor arrays. Admiral, Marcus called out, his voice thoughtful. Do you think they understand yet what they've stumbled into? Sarah's expression remained carefully neutral. They're beginning to. The Nexari pride themselves on being one of the most advanced civilizations in known space. Finding out that humanity has been quietly surpassing them in critical technologies, while maintaining the appearance of a primitive species, that's going to take some adjustment. And if they don't adjust well? James asked, his hand unconsciously resting on his sidearm. Then they'll learn why the legends about humanity aren't just about our technology. Sarah's voice carried the weight of centuries of preparation. We didn't hide our capabilities out of fear. We did it because showing restraint, choosing peace when you have the power for war, that's the true mark of advancement. As the diplomatic shuttle drew closer, Sarah reflected on the decades of work that had led to this moment. Humanity had transformed itself from a quarrelsome, divided species into something unprecedented. A civilization that had mastered the art of hiding in plain sight, advancing its technology in secret while presenting a carefully crafted image of primitiveness to the galaxy. The true test would begin soon. Not a test of military might or technological superiority. Humanity's quantum displacement technology and defense grid had already demonstrated that. No, this would be a test of diplomacy, of whether two advanced civilizations could move past misconceptions and work toward understanding. The fact that the Nexari had chosen diplomacy over conflict was promising, but Sarah knew that the real challenges lay ahead. After all, it's one thing to accept that the legends were true. It's another to accept that you've been outmaneuvered before the game even began. The dance of deception. Fleet Commander Zara Vex's diplomatic shuttle passed through layers of invisible security screens as it approached the lunar base. Her scales shifted through shades of blue and silver, reflecting her mixture of anticipation and unease. The massive installation before her seemed to defy reality itself, parts of it appearing to exist in multiple places simultaneously, a visual demonstration of humanity's mastery over quantum mechanics. Fascinating architecture, First Officer Krell noted from beside her. Their quantum manipulation appears to extend to physical structures themselves. Before Zara could respond, a soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. Nexari shuttle, you are cleared for docking in Bay 7. Please follow the guidance markers. A path of gentle blue lights materialized in space before them, leading toward an opening that seemed to fold out of nothing. As they followed the path, Zara observed how the docking bay appeared to assemble itself moment by moment, as if reality was being written in real time. They're showing off, Krell muttered. No, Zara replied, her scales settling into a thoughtful purple. They're letting us see exactly what they want us to see. The question is, what aren't they showing us? The shuttle settled onto the docking platform with perfect precision, guided by invisible fields that made the landing feel as natural as breathing. As the airlock cycled, Zara took a moment to center herself. This meeting would shape the future relationship between their civilizations. The airlock opened to reveal Admiral Sarah Chen waiting with a small delegation. The human leader stood with quiet confidence, her uniform bearing unfamiliar symbols that seemed to shift subtly when viewed directly. Fleet Commander Vex. Sarah stepped forward, Speaking perfect Nexari. Welcome to Artemis Base. Zara inclined her head in the traditional Nexari greeting. Admiral Chen, your facility is remarkable. This, Sarah gestured at their surroundings. This is just our reception area. Please, follow me. As they walked through the base, Zara's scientific curiosity warred with her military training. Corridors seemed to rearrange themselves behind them, and windows showed views that couldn't possibly all be of the same lunar surface. The entire base appeared to exist in a state of quantum flux, yet everything felt solid and permanent. They entered what appeared to be a conference room, though Zara suspected it was much more. A holographic display dominated the center, showing both their fleets in perfect detail. I imagine you have questions, Sarah began as they took their seats, about why we maintain the appearance of a primitive civilization, about our technology, about the legends. The legends, Zara's scales flickered with interest. They were your doing, weren't they? Carefully crafted stories spread through the galaxy. Sarah smiled. Some of them. Others were created by those who encountered us and tried to explain what they'd seen. When you develop technology that appears to break the laws of physics, people tend to talk. Like your quantum displacement fields? Krell asked. The ability to hide entire defense systems in plain sight. That's just the surface. Dr. Marcus Rivera spoke up from his position near the holographic display. Quantum displacement was one of our earlier achievements. Would you like to see something more recent? Without waiting for a response, he made a subtle gesture. The holographic display shifted, showing Earth from orbit. As they watched, the image zoomed in past the atmosphere, through layers of clouds, down to street level in what appeared to be a major city. The resolution was perfect, with no loss of detail. Impossible, Krell breathed. No scanning technology cold. We're not scanning, Marcus interrupted. This is live, quantum entangled observation. We can observe any point on or around Earth with perfect clarity, without any time delay or signal transmission. Zara's scales had shifted to white. Pure surprise. You've weaponized quantum entanglement. Weaponized? Sarah shook her head. We've unified it with our everyday life. Our entire civilization is built on the principle of quantum interconnection. Those primitive satellites you observed, they're just a facade. Our real communications network exists outside normal space-time. The implications staggered Zara. A civilization that had mastered quantum mechanics to this degree could theoretically be anywhere, observe anything, react instantly to any threat. The legends hadn't been exaggerated. They'd been understated. Why reveal this to us now? Zara asked, her voice carefully controlled. Sarah's expression grew serious. Because the galaxy is changing, Commander. We've been watching, waiting, preparing. There are threats coming that will require cooperation, not competition. The Nexari Empire is advanced enough to understand what we've achieved, honorable enough to be trusted with the knowledge. And if we weren't? Krell asked quietly. The holographic display shifted again, showing a view of the Nexari fleet. Around each ship, tiny distortions in space became visible, quantum anchors, Zara realized with shock. The humans hadn't just been observing them. They'd had the ability to control their ship's quantum states from the moment they entered the system. Then this would be a very different conversation. Sarah replied simply. But we believed in the possibility of peaceful contact. That's why we let your fleet approach, why we revealed only some of our capabilities, why we're having this discussion now. Zara looked at the human leader with new understanding. Everything. The legends, the facade of primitiveness, the gradual revelation of their capabilities, had been a test, not of military might or technological advancement, but of intention and character. You've been preparing for this moment for a long time, Zora observed. Sarah nodded. For generations. The question is, Commander Vex, are you prepared for what comes next? Breaking point. The holographic display in Artemis Base's conference room shifted again, this time showing a region of space far beyond the solar system. Dark tendrils of something that defied normal physics writhed through the void, consuming light and matter alike. We call them voidborn, Admiral Chen explained, her voice grave. They emerged from a quantum rupture 3 years ago. Since then, they've consumed 17 systems on the edge of known space. Zara's scales had shifted to the deep gray of concern as she studied the imagery. How is this possible? Our long-range scouts have reported nothing. Because the voidborn exist partially outside normal spacetime, Dr. Rivera explained, manipulating the display to show more detail. Conventional sensors can't detect them until it's too late. We only know about them because of our quantum observation network. First Officer Krell leaned forward, his facial tendrils twitching with agitation. If what you're showing us is true, this threatens every civilization in the galaxy. Why keep this information secret? Information without preparation leads to panic, Sarah replied. We needed to find allies who could comprehend the true nature of the threat and help us fight it. The display changed again, showing a simulation of a voidborn attack. Normal space seemed to fold in on itself as the creatures emerge, their very presence warping the laws of physics. Conventional weapons passed through them harmlessly, and energy shields crumbled at their touch. How do you fight something that exists outside normal physics? Zara asked, her military mind already analyzing possible strategies. Sarah nodded to Dr. Rivera, who brought up a new set of schematics. By fighting fire with fire, we've developed weapons that operate on quantum principles, devices that can affect the voidborn in their own domain. But implementing them on a galactic scale requires resources and expertise we don't have alone. Zara studied the schematics, her scales shifting to the blue of realization. Your quantum displacement technology, you're not just using it for defense. You're preparing to weaponize it against these creatures. The Nexari Empire's crystalline technology, Sarah continued, is uniquely suited to channel quantum effects. Combined with our understanding of quantum mechanics, we could create weapons that exist in multiple states simultaneously. Zara finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. Weapons that could strike the voidborn in every dimension they inhabit. A new alert flashed across the display. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the comm system, tense with urgency. Admiral, we're detecting quantum disturbances at the edge of the system. Signature matches voidborn patterns. Sarah was on her feet instantly. Time to arrival. At current speed, 4 hours. Zara stood as well, her scales now pulsing with the red of combat readiness. They followed us. Our fleet's quantum wake must have drawn their attention. Then we'll face them together, Sarah declared, activating a command interface. This is precisely why we revealed ourselves to you, Commander. We need to know, are you with us? The conference room transformed around them, quantum shields flickering into existence as the base's defense systems activated. Through the windows, Zara could see her fleet reorienting itself, the ship's crystalline hulls catching the sunlight like 1,000 stars. My people have always prided themselves on being among the most advanced civilizations in space, Zara said, her voice firm. But you've shown us that true advancement isn't just about technology. It's about knowing when to set aside pride and work together. She turned to Sarah, her scales settling into the deep purple of resolve. The Nexari fleet stands with Earth. Sarah's expression showed grim satisfaction. Dr. Rivera, begin quantum integration protocols. Captain Rodriguez, coordinate with the Nexari fleet. I want our defense grids synchronized within the hour. She turned to Zara. Commander, I hope you're ready to make some new legends. As the base erupted into activity, Zara watched humans and her own crew working side by side. Centuries of technological development merging into something entirely new. The Voidborn were coming, but they would face something unprecedented. 2 civilizations united, combining humanity's mastery of quantum mechanics with Nexari crystalline technology. The legends of humanity's prowess had drawn them here, but the truth was far more impressive than any story. They weren't just advanced, They were visionaries who had seen this threat coming and prepared for it in secret, waiting for the right moment and the right allies. Through the quantum-enhanced windows of the base, Earth hung serenely in space, its surface still maintaining the carefully crafted illusion of a primitive world. But now Zara knew better. This wasn't just humanity's homeworld. It was the fortress of a civilization that had outthought everyone, preparing for a war that only they had seen coming. And in 4 hours, the galaxy would learn exactly why the legends of humanity had survived for so long. Dawn of understanding. Space itself seemed to shudder as the Voidborn emerged at the edge of the solar system. Their dark forms twisted reality, creating ripples in the fabric of space-time that distorted the light of distant stars. But this time, they weren't met with panic or disorganized resistance. They were met with preparation. In Artemis Base's transformed command center, Admiral Sarah Chen and Fleet Commander Zara Vex stood side by side, watching as their combined forces moved into position. The Nexari fleet's crystalline ships now pulsed with new energy, their hulls retrofitted with quantum integration systems that Dr. Rivera's team had worked frantically to install. Quantum synchronization at 98%, Marcus announced, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. The crystalline matrices are accepting the modifications better than we hoped. Zara's scales shimmered with anticipation. Our ships were built to channel energy. We just never imagined channeling it across quantum states. Multiple Voidborn signatures detected, Captain Rodriguez reported. They're different from the recordings. Larger, more complex. Sarah's expression remained calm, but her eyes hardened. They're evolving. Learning. She turned to Zara. Are your crews ready? Ready and committed, Zara replied. Though I admit, fighting an enemy that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously isn't covered in our tactical manuals. Time to write some new ones, Sarah said, activating the fleet-wide command channel. All ships, commence Operation Quantum Shield. Execute on my mark. The combined fleet began to move, but not in normal space. Through the quantum-enhanced displays, they could see how each ship existed in multiple states at once, their positions uncertain until the moment of engagement. The humans' quantum displacement technology had been adapted into a weapon on a scale never before attempted. First wave of Voidborn approaching defense perimeter, Marcus called out. Quantum signatures are. They're trying to phase through our lines. Not this time, Sarah declared. Execute primary sequence. Show them why humanity stayed hidden for so long. The space around Earth's orbit transformed. Thousands of quantum anchors activated simultaneously, creating a web of interconnected fields that forced reality to behave according to human designs. The Voidborn's attempt to shift between dimensions met resistance for the first time in their existence. Now, Commander Vex, Sarah ordered. Zara's scales flashed brilliant silver as she gave the command. The Nexari fleet's crystalline hulls blazed with energy, each ship becoming a quantum lens that focused the humans' dimensional anchors into concentrated beams of pure possibility. The Voidborn recoiled, their otherworldly forms distorting as they encountered something they'd never faced before, weapons that could touch them in every dimension they inhabited. The combined fleet pressed the advantage, human quantum science and Nexari crystalline technology working in perfect harmony. Multiple Voidborn signatures destabilizing, Rodriguez reported, excitement creeping into his voice. The quantum crystal fusion is working. But the Voidborn weren't defeated so easily. The largest of their number, the vast entity that twisted space into impossible shapes around it, surged forward. Reality buckled under its advance as it headed straight for Earth. Primary target advancing, Sarah announced calmly. Time to show them our final surprise. She nodded to Marcus. Activate the planetary quantum matrix. Earth itself began to change. The carefully maintained illusion of a primitive world fell away as the planet's surface revealed its true nature. Every city, every structure, every piece of technology humanity had hidden from the galaxy became visible at once. The entire planet was a quantum computer of unprecedented scale, built over generations in perfect secrecy. The void-born entity recoiled as it encountered a world that existed in all dimensions simultaneously, a planet that could match its own multi-dimensional nature. Earth's quantum matrix reached out, not with destruction, but with understanding, analyzing, adapting, and finally communicating. In the command center, Marcus's instruments exploded with data. We're receiving patterns, information. The Voidborn, they're not just entities, they're a language written in quantum states. Sarah and Zara exchanged glances as understanding dawned. They weren't attacking, Sarah realized. They were trying to communicate the only way they knew how, by sharing their quantum nature with other worlds. And those worlds couldn't handle it, Zara finished, her scales shifting to the blue of comprehension. Their very presence disrupted normal spacetime. But Earth can speak their language, Marcus confirmed, working frantically to process the quantum data. We built this world to understand realities beyond our own. And now, the massive void-born entity held position as Earth's quantum matrix engaged with it, two vastly different forms of consciousness finding common ground in the language of quantum mechanics. The other Voidborn ceased their advance, their forms stabilizing as communication was established. Hours later, as the crisis passed and the Voidborn retreated peacefully to their own dimension, Zara stood with Sarah in Artemis Base, watching Earth rotate below them. The planet no longer bothered to hide its true nature. Its surface gleamed with advanced technology, a testament to humanity's real achievement. You didn't just prepare for war, Zara said quietly, her scales showing deep respect. You prepared for peace in dimensions we didn't even know existed. Sarah smiled. The greatest victory is the one that transforms an enemy into an ally. The legends spoke of humanity's power, but they missed the most important part, our determination to understand, not just to conquer. And now, Zara asked, will you maintain the illusion for the rest of the galaxy? No, Sarah decided. The time for hiding is past. There are more Voidborn out there, more civilizations that need to understand what we've learned. The Nexeri Empire proved itself today. Proved that advancement isn't just about power, but about wisdom. As they spoke, the combined fleet began to power down its weapons, crystals dimming as quantum fields stabilized. But the alliance formed in those desperate hours would endure, marking the beginning of a new age in galactic history. The legends of humanity would be rewritten, not as tales of hidden power or secret technology, but as a testament to the true meaning of advancement, the wisdom to prepare, the courage to face the unknown, and the vision to transform understanding into peace.